Two tight ends, one ranking gap. Could the underdog Colston Loveland be among the truly elite in this class? Stay tuned to find out, guys. What's up, Jet fans? I'm Julian Locasso, joined by my co-host Nick Perry, and this is the Gangrene Report. If you're tuning in, hit that like button on the way in and subscribe if you're new so you can stay up to date with everything related to the New York Jets this offseason. Guys, Daniel Jeremiah's new player rankings have just been released, and it's generated a lot of buzz, having Tyler Warren at number 6 and Colston Loveland at number 7. These guys being extremely close in the ratings, it raises a big question. Should Loveland be viewed on the same level as Warren, and should he be considered somebody that is a top 10 talent in this draft? Nick, what are your initial thoughts of seeing Loveland in the top 7?
Definitely. I think initially you think, if you're not too familiar with Loveland, initially you think, why would anybody just pass up on Warren if he is there? But the more you look at it, the more you can understand it and start to realize that he is just as talented and deserves that starting spot as well. And I believe if somebody drafts him, he definitely would be NFL ready for sure.
Yeah, I mean, let's just take a look real quick and break down what each of these players kind of brings to the table. We'll start with Tyler Warren. He's obviously a big-time favorite among the Jets community. We've talked about him at length. But Tyler Warren, 6'6", 260 pounds. Warren is built like an NFL tight end. This guy, his frame is perfectly balanced, providing him with strength in both his upper and lower body. He's a solid run and pass blocker, even ranking in the 51st percentile in positively graded run blocking plays. What's even more impressive is his threat percentage, which jumps from a 16.1% in 2023 to a 30.2% in 2024. He was heavily more utilized, obviously, in the offense as a dual threat kind of guy. You know, we saw him run the ball. We saw him do wildcat packages. We've seen him, do tush pushes. We've seen him throw the ball as a quarterback. He was a former quarterback before making the switch to tight end. He has incredibly strong hands, isn't afraid to mix it up physically, and shows good vertical ability as a receiver. His route tree is somewhat limited by his size, and he's a bit stiff when it comes to that change of direction. But his clean speed releases and versatility, whether it's lined up in line, in the slot, even as a wingback, make him a very attractive prospect. Nick, what do you think about Warren's overall athletic profile?
Yeah, I think his profile itself is amazing and would put him in contention with some of the best tight ends in the game right now, I think, profile wise. Obviously, we haven't seen him play in the NFL yet, not stat wise, but I think his size is what really attracts people on top of his amazing catching and blocking abilities. And like you just mentioned, his threat percentage went up incredibly with Penn State this year. I think you said it best. His size is great from his game and isn't afraid to get dirty and mix it up with those defensive ends coming his way as well. As we know, there's a lot of big men coming at you in the NFL, and he definitely is up for the task. Also, his tree is small, but if the ball is going to him, I believe he will come down with it, and he doesn't need to have an incredible tree to be successful, I think, as a tight end in the league, or for any tight end, really. I think his ability to line up anywhere is a huge asset as well. We see a lot of tight ends who are just thrown out there for blocking or just thrown out there for goal line touches. I think he would fit in perfectly, and his athletic profile should fit the NFL with no problem.
Yeah, I think obviously the biggest problem in the Jets community is everybody's so quick to try to compare to last year's class, especially with Brock Bowers like being as amazing as he was. The Bauer boys are going crazy, being like, oh, the Jets should have, drafted him. Now we're stuck choosing the poor man's tight end and, Tyler Warren. But I personally think he's just as talented. I don't think he's obviously on the same tier level as Bowers was. He's truly an elite level talent, but I do think he's going to be capable of coming in right away from day one and being an effective tight end. But let's go twist over to Colston Loveland. We haven't really talked about him before, so I want to really get into him. He's 6'5", weighs at 240 pounds, a little bit of a leaner guy with a huge catch radius, though, thanks to his natural hands. His movement is a real asset. He sinks into his hips when he turns, has a great first step, quick, agile lower body movements that allow him to separate in his routes really well. While his contested catch numbers might not be, they're lower than ideal. He's shown flashes that he can make big plays when it matters. On the blocking side, his long frame kind of gives him length advantage against linebackers. and even secondary defenders. That said, though, he is a bit on the smaller, thinner side when it comes to the bigger, defensive end type guys. So he can struggle against more physical trench players, but has really good hand positioning, footwork, and leg drive. And it kind of keeps him effective at stalling against those types of guys to create run lanes for the run game as well. Nick, do you see Loveland's size and agility translating well to the NFL, even if his contested catch numbers aren't exactly elite?
Yeah, I think he will overall for sure in the NFL. We see a ton of teams playing one, two, and then teams like Kansas City playing three tight end sets, putting three tight ends out there. So if he isn't the best blocker, and we'd have to coach him up, but also not be afraid to run those two tight end sets and give him the help where it's needed. I don't see a problem in that at all. I don't think any team would honestly have a problem with that at all, especially someone with his talent coming in here like this. I think you'd always want him on the field. So if he needs a little help, whether that be a tight end or a swing out block or running back kind of backing him up to block the quarterback, I think it'll be just fine for him. In regards to his ability to catch and have a great route tree, he brings elements to the game that Warren doesn't bring, which makes this very even more interesting and debatable as well. They both have good size. Warren's a little bit bigger, obviously, like you said, threat level. So I think it's a very good debate. But overall, I think his size and agility will translate to the NFL pretty well. Hopefully, as consistent with Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I mean, I consider this guy comp wise to be almost like a baby Kittle, where like he's not necessarily the biggest guy, and he's not Kittle esque in the sense of like Kittle's a pretty above average blocker, but he's very thin, very athletic build, and he can go up and catch the ball and like be a threat in the passing game. So I could see him being a similar comp like that. But the biggest thing between Warren and Loveland, which makes it a conversation, is their college production, which is a big part of the narrative here. Warren had a breakout year, obviously, in 2024, which was phenomenal. Put up 1230, 1,230 yards, 104 catches, and 8 touchdowns. But if you look at his previous 2 seasons, he was a bit more limited with only 22 yards, 34 catches, and 7 touchdowns in 2023. And then even 123 yards, 10 catches, and 3 touchdowns in 2022. But in contrast, Loveland has shown consistency over the last 2 seasons, putting up 2 really good solid seasons. In 2024, 56 catches, 582 yards, 5 touchdowns. And in 2023, had 34 catches for 649 yards and 4 touchdowns, even in an offense that didn't throw the ball as much as at Michigan. So that's like the big thing. Michigan has always been a run-first type of team. Even when they had J.J. McCarthy the year before, he had an uptick in his productions in terms of the yards per catch, which led to him having a higher yards per catch from the season ago. But they were able to throw the ball a tad bit more with JJ McCarthy this past season. They didn't really have a great quarterback at the helm, so they didn't really have to throw the ball as much, and they had 2 good running backs where they leaned on more for the offense. Nick, does this consistency make you lean more towards Loveland being a tight end one candidate, or are you still Tyler Warren?
Honestly, it's real. I feel like now it's like really tight, like very heavy on Tyler Warren. I might be leaning more towards Loveland a little bit more. And this isn't saying that he was totally off of our boards or even my board specifically, but I think he has definitely flown under some radars, including myself, except to the teams such as like the Chargers, who obviously have Harbaugh there, who knows what he has in talent and size and what can really bring to the Chargers offense, especially. Um, I mean, they did just sign Conklin, but somebody who they really need for Herbert out there. And of course, I think he brings a similar but different kind of breed to the tight end position that Warren doesn't. But I think also vice versa, Warren brings an absolute monstrous game that Loveland doesn't on some ends. So it's like so tough. I mean, I would take either one gladly. I think leaning a little bit more towards Loveland, just like the more we see of him, I think he kind of like sticks out a little bit more. But Warren might be what the Jets kind of need right now. So it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the only thing for me in terms of the two. I think Warren is clearly the all around tight end. A lot of people have been comparing him and saying he's like a baby Gronk in the sense that he's physical, he can block, he can run, He has the ability to catch, and they have similar body types. Obviously, we haven't seen either of these guys in the league yet, so we don't know what we have in them. But I believe Loveland deserves some consideration at tight end one in this class, especially when you consider his unique blend of size, athleticism, and versatility. Both players have impressive traits, but Loveland's combination of like that big catch radius and the refined movement skills could elevate him to that elite status if he kind of gets better at that contested catch ability, gets a little bit bigger, puts a little bit more size on. Obviously, in an NFL system, he's going to have the NFL strength staffs working with him year round, so he'll be able to put on that size that he wants and potentially continue to add to his arsenal and become a better blocker. He's very capable at blocking. If you put on the tape, he's a very underrated blocker. He's not the greatest like Warren is, but like at the same time, I feel like there's potential. But again, for me, the 2 years of productivity versus the one big year for Warren kind of gives me a bit of pause on Warren. I still like Warren as like the clear cut tight end one, but there's no debating that Loveland has the talent. I just feel like he was in an offense where you couldn't really see it. But now, Nick, how do you think Loveland stacks up against Warren in terms of potential impact for a team like the Jets?
Yeah, I think they both have an immediate impact on our team and probably start week one for us, especially the closeness and skill and size they bring to each other. Especially if all we need is to do is get him bigger, handle defensive ends. I think we can do that and coach him and improve his contested catch ratio. He will be golden and a great tight end and asset to this team for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Daniel Jeremiah's rankings placed Warren at 6, Loveland at 7, but the numbers and scouting tell a compelling story, guys. Loveland's consistent production and unique skill set could put him right in the conversation with Warren for tight end one, with the Jets holding that potential, first round pick selection at number 7. Both of these prospects would absolutely be game changers. Drop your opinions in the comments below, though. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you see this as a tight race between the two? Hit the like button if you enjoyed this breakdown, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're new here, guys, and as always, guys, go Jets.